Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm Simon, and today, as you can see, my mother is back. Post an England football win. She's giddy.
I am a bit giddy.
She's a bit giddy.
And ice cream.
And ice cream. We've had some really, really nice ice cream. And a lovely seaside walk.
Very nice.
I had a lovely weekend.
Yeah.
Although yesterday I had a bit of a hay fever blip.
Oh yeah, you did.
I had to kind of lie down. Little lie down and sleep. What a good host.
He was crying a lot.
It was. And it wasn't the emotion.
No, it definitely wasn't.
Anyway, normally every month I do a sort of monthly book catch up about what is going on, what's happening and what's coming up in terms of books that I'm reading, plans that I've got ahead, etc. But I can't really at the moment because I've got a big update hopefully at the beginning of next week as this goes live. No, not as in Monday coming, but the Monday after, I think. So I'll be able to tell you about that then. Look at this. She knows. She's in on the secret. So I thought what we could do, me and Mum, is talk about like what we're currently reading, so what's going on in our reading lives. What we went charity shopping yesterday, so we thought we'd share some of our charity shop finds with you, and then we're going to have a chat about Summer Book HiBearNation. We are. So that's all to come. That's exciting. I realise it's taken 3 minutes for us to get to this point, but probably with a bit of an edit, it'll be fine. So, Mum, what are you currently reading?
So, very uncharacteristically, Simon, because I don't normally do this, I am reading 2 books at once.
No.
I know.
I've started doing that
Why,
a lot more
you
now.
ask?
Yeah, why? Why, Louise? Tell me.
Because and actually they're almost identical colours.
Well, they're also on a theme as well, because they're both about Greece.
Look at that. I know, maybe I'm getting into my summer mode. I don't know.
Oh. In the lead up to Summer HiBearNation, I like what you did there. We were going to try and record in the garden, but the neighbours are playing basketball excessively.
Can you play basketball excessively?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like what I witnessed outside.
Not to excess then.
Excessively.
Okay.
So, your books.
Yeah, my books. So
Stop holding them in front of your face.
I try so hard. So this one is Pandoras Jar by the absolutely fabulous Natalie Haynes. I am such a fan. And she's sort of researching and exploring, I think it's 10 females from classical mythology.
Well, one's a group, isn't it? Because she does the Amazonians as a group. Because I read this.
Yeah, she's read it. I know. I'm very
I interviewed her about it.
Very proud. So anyway, I absolutely love it. I love the way it's written. If you're familiar with Natalie's stand-up, you can kind of hear her voice as you're reading it. It's very sort of true to who she is, I think, and so well researched and so thorough and so interesting, because she looks at each of the women from the point of view of how they were perceived during the classical era and then in subsequent eras too.
She gets like a whole myriad of versions of each one, doesn't she?
Yeah.
It's really...
And she's sort of, in some ways is kind of restoring the balance as well. Often these women have been viewed very females, I should say, have been viewed very negatively, and perhaps more negatively in recent times than they were originally. There were more positive versions of these women that seem to have been airbrushed out of history. So, it's just fascinating. And the reason I'm reading 2 books at once is because I want to savour it. There are certain books that I don't want to sit down and read in one go. They're so wonderful. I just want to read a bit at a time. And so I've been reading it for a few weeks now, on and off. I'm really, really enjoying it. It's not let itself down at all. And the other one I'm reading, again on a sort of Greek theme, is called Skios. It's by Michael Frayn. I really like his writing.
Spies is one of your favourite books, isn't
Spies
it?
is one of my favourite books. I think it's really clever. I read it years ago, and I'm still under that privet hedge. Still smelling the privet.
You need to read the book to understand.
You do. Go and read it. It's brilliant.
Refers.
It's brilliant. But I've also read lots of his other books as well. I can't remember what it's called. The one, something about the morning. I think it was his first or second novel about journalism in the sort of 1960s, I want to say. and he was a journalist. And it's kind of satirical, but clever. And this one is a really light read. It's definitely a summer read, because it's a comedy, and yeah, I'm really enjoying the humour of it.
Lovely.
What are you reading?
I'm not reading anything at the moment. I'm about to start I am now multi-reading. I'm doing it much more. Yeah, because I like to have a non-fiction on the go, and I'm definitely going to read this next, which is The Undiscovered Country by Andre Bagou, which is an essay collection. And Andre Bagou is a queer Caribbean author, and it's still illegal in a lot of the Caribbean to be gay. Yeah. So it's quite a brave thing to write about your experiences, but it's also Pride Month and Read Caribbean Month. So I thought, right, I'm going to try and combine the two with a few books this month I can read. So I'm looking forward to this. And apparently it's like, there's some quite unusual media inside it and stuff, which really appeals to me. And I think he looks at how early on certain texts have been sort of blocked in the Caribbean, if I can find it. There we go. So like Turn of the Screw.
Like redacting.
Yeah, Turn of the Screw got massively redacted. So, although no, I think you might actually be making poetry out of them now that I look at it again. Yes, because it's like about coming out. That's so interesting. So this I think is going to be amazing. And then I can't decide which to read next, whether I read my mate Jen's new book that came out on Thursday last week called Ghosted, because we're going to see her in a couple of weeks for Sunday lunch and I want to have read it by then. I actually had the proof for ages, so I should have read it ages ago because I wanted to read it before we went to Blackpool together.
Lovely cover that is.
Yeah, and this is her fourth novel. It might even be her fifth, possibly actually. I think it is her fifth. Anyway, and it's about a woman whose husband goes missing, but she doesn't report it for a while.
Oh, right.
And then when she does, everyone's like, well, why? So I'm intrigued by this one. But the other one is, I did my first ever Twitter Spaces event the other day, and I was going to try and read this last week before it, but I was trying to fit in 3 books to read by Wednesday, starting on a Sunday. Wasn't going to happen. But one of the authors there was Buki Papillon, and this was one of my most anticipated books for 2020, but it got moved back because of the pandemic. And it's about twins born in Nigeria, one of whom is intersex. And so I think this is going to be really fun. And I think there's mythology in there. And I love Nigerian fiction. So I'm really, really excited for that. So I can't quite decide which of those two I'm going to head to, because they're very, 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 very different. So I'm torn. I'm torn. It is a dilemma. A dilemma of my reading life. But one thing we thought about next is this weekend we went into some charity shops, and I've been buying more charity books recently, especially because they're trying to make it so that in the UK, like with books borrowed from the library, if you buy a book from a charity shop, money goes to the author.
It's brilliant. You told me about that, I think this morning or yesterday. I hadn't picked up on it, and I think it's fantastic, because I always do feel, although I like buying books from charity shops, there's always a certain amount of guilt that the author might be losing out.
But, and this is a thing with library books as well, because even though they get money with library books and they don't with charity shop books, they don't get as much obviously if you buy the physical book. But I always think if you kind of chance an author in a library or in a charity book, and you enjoy them, you're likely to go off and buy them at a bookshop. Yes, I think. Yes, and also, we have to remember that books they're not ridiculously expensive, but they are luxury items. Yes, and I think sometimes we forget that that's the case. Like if we go back to when I was little, the library was what we used, and we used to go to Waterstones like once a month, if that. Oh yeah. It was a real treat to go to Waterstones. I really remember that. We used to go to second-hand bookshops a lot. Well, I was a student, so I didn't have a lot of money. So we thought we'd go through our hauls. Now, Mum's bought the most, so Mum, you start with one, and then I'll get to one.
Berserk.
You did. You went absolutely nuts.
This is really heavy.
And also, I've never seen someone clutch a book so excitedly.
I was very excited. I've never seen this before, but I mean, who doesn't love a diary?
That's quite a big diary.
It's not a single person's diary.
Okay, sorry.
So I've never seen it. It's got a brilliant title. It was the title that grabbed me. It's called The Assassin's Cloak. And I thought, what on earth is that? But it's an anthology of the world's greatest diarists. And I love that idea.
Irene and Alan Taylor, who I've never heard of.
No. But yeah, I just thought, I mean, I partly had my job in mind, because my students study
Oh my
non-fiction.
goodness, is it the same day but different authors on each day?
I think
it is.
So. I think so.
Oh no, I didn't see that.
So it's just, it looks like the most wonderful. I
Does
don't know
it
if
go-
anybody out there's got a copy of this or knows anything about it.
Does it go from the 1st of January onwards, so you can read it
Yeah,
in real
I think
time?
so. And I thought I might
Oh, it does.
pick an entry each month for the kids at school or whatever, in the hope that they might then go off and get interested in that particular author or historical character.
That's
or
a really
whatever.
good idea.
Yeah.
That book.
Yeah,
Really good. And also you doing that with your kids is a very
it's
good idea. And the first one that I got, which I've just realised I've actually got a copy of on my shelf, so Mum's going home with an extra book, is, and I'm keeping this one because I love the American floppy paperback. I just really love it. And it's Salvage the Bones by Jasmine Ward, who we actually read at the same time.
Sing Buried Sing, was it called?
Yeah, for the Women's Prize.
Fabulous book.
And we loved it. And I'm really, really cross that I haven't read anything which you said was daft.
Yeah, stuff.
I said,
so many books.
I said yesterday, I'm so cross that I've not read it. And I was like, really, do you need to be cross about that? But yeah, I don't know anything about it other than it won the National Book Award and was highly praised when it came out. But this was out way before the UK edition came out. And I remember really lusting after this because I was like, oh, and I can't remember what year it was. Did I go to America in that year and nearly buy it? I can't remember. Anyway, it's reminded me that I need to read Jasmine Ward. I do have Jasmine Ward's non-fiction over on my shelves there, which you can't see, but Mum and me can, which is The Men We Reaped, which is about, it's about, I think it's 5 or 6 men in her life that died or were killed by the police. So she writes about their life and their death, and so, yeah, but this fiction, I'm very much looking forward to it. Mum, you next.
Well, I'm a big fan of Sue Perkins, particularly when she does her sort of travel programmes and things. And my husband likes her as well. He finds her very entertaining. So I couldn't resist a copy of
memoir.
Spectacles. Yes.
I've worked with her. She's a very, very, very lovely lady.
Yeah.
She gives very good hugs. I judge people on that.
Oh, yes. Or handshakes.
And then, do you know what? Handshakes, I made an exception with my stepfather, but I don't like them.
Okay.
I've never liked a handshake. I'm so glad. I'm hoping the pandemic wipes them out. That's what I'm hoping. Anyway,
a bit strange.
I bought this because Mum said I had to. And it's Helen Dunmore's The Siege, which I'm just checking I don't already have. Because I felt like I might have it, and I was like, oh, well, as it's only, however much it was, $1.99 or something, it's fine. I'm just trying to see with me D's. Now I've got Burning Bright and Something in Darkness, Xena in Darkness. So I don't have this one. Mum, what's it about? It says it's Leningrad, September 1941, and it's something to do with Hitler and the Germans.
It is.
That puts me off.
Oh no, it's not like that. I mean, it is literally about the siege of a city and one woman's sort of fight for survival.
I struggle so much with Second World War fiction.
Oh.
I'll read it, but I really, really struggle with it.
Yeah, I think it was the first one of Helen Dunmore's that I read.
Oh, you're a big Dunmore
I'm sure
fan.
it was. Yeah, I love her writing.
Okay.
And yeah, I can't remember many specifics about it, but I know I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I don't think I had read a like very often books about the Second World War are set in Britain or France or whatever. And the fact that it was Stalingrad was fascinating.
No, that intrigues me more. I think because I read it, I had to do it for school for like 4 years, it felt like. So it's really put me off Second World War books. But I'll give that one a whirl because it is a bit different. Next.
Okay, so next one was...
Slightly Lupton Coffee Stain.
Slightly Lupton Coffee, but I don't mind that, you see. I quite like that about a book. So this is Kate Moss, The Winter Ghosts. Again, I'm not a particularly ghosty person, but I think I'm going to like this. It's set in the 20s.
Do you find, because like I don't always read a blurb about a book in order to buy it. If it's an author that I know I'm going to like, I just buy it.
Yeah, but I think I'd read about this book recently. I thought, why haven't I read it?
I thought it was a short stories, but that's incorrect.
No, it's not.
It was a novel.
No, it's a novel. But yeah, I just thought it looked very entertaining, and as I say, it was one that was kind of...
It's got a nice big font.
At the back of my mind on my I need to read that list in my head. So
good font.
About that one.
Good font.
Very good font. Really nice size copy, actually. Hand-sized.
My next one is my penultimate one, actually, is Tales of Persuasion by Philip Hensher, who is an author I've read one book of and absolutely loved, and then continued to carry on collecting all of their books every time I see them. And this is a short story collection, and I think it's meant to be, it's all realist, so it's not fantastical or anything like that, but I think they're all meant to be tales that sort of link around somebody persuading somebody to do something, either that they shouldn't, or, you know what I mean? So I think that's going to be quite interesting. And he has got a very dry wit, and I just read on the back, it'd be perfect for Pride, because it says, Thomas Manlike in its homoerotic undertones and high-flown hymns to unrequited love, but a good deal funnier.
Ooh.
So, bit of
I thought that
fun.
was going to be a pretentious quote, and then it just rescued itself at the end.
It was the Evening Standard. Well done, whoever wrote that, who hasn't actually been given a name, because it was just the newspaper, apparently.
That's mean.
So there we go.
That's mean.
That's that one.
Well, I'm gonna
Combine?
I'm gonna combine both of these. So I've still got the price tags on them. So when was it? When we were
Last
reading
year we read all of the
winners?
Women's Prize winners.
I read my first A.M. Homes, which was it May We Be Forgiven?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was blown away by it.
Gotta hold them lower, Louise. Honestly, she keeps covering herself up. It's because we've been on Zoom for so long. She got rusty. Anyway.
Well, anyway. So yeah, 2 A.M. Homes novels. I haven't even read the blurb, but I'm pretty sure I like them. But this book will save your life. I love the title.
I like Music for Torching.
I
That's
hope
a really
it
good
will.
title.
And yeah, music for torching. I mean, yeah, they're just genius. And the thing I loved about that novel was just the way it made me titter. I just thought it was. Oh, and the people in it were so dysfunctional. It was marvellous. There's hope for me.
We need a good titter after the last year that we've all had, let's be honest.
So, I'm delighted they were a good find.
Well, I'm very pleased that I got this, and I feel stupid though, because I got sent the hardback of this and gave it away because I thought it didn't sound very me. And then I've heard loads of different things about it, and the more I've heard about it, the more amazing I think it sounds. And this is Imagine Me Gone by Adam Hamslett, and this is about a man called Michael, who's, when he's younger, his father just literally walks into the woods and vanishes, and nobody knows what happens to him. And I think it's, from what I've read, because he is gay and has decided to leave his family behind to go and find out more about his life. And I think at some point there might be a case of them finding him again. But yeah, I've just heard it's absolutely, unless it's a completely different book. Can you imagine? I'll be so disappointed.
Actually,
I'll report back in due course. Yeah, that's what I've heard about it, and I just think it sounds really interesting. And I do love those stories where you get a character that just sort of sticks and goes, and it's about about why they've gone, but it's the void they leave behind and how they start to fill that. And yeah, I really, really love that. There are certain things, aren't there, where you feel like, oh, I've read that before, but this is a trope that I don't mind rereading. It's like whenever you've got a main character that's in prison, because you're always like, well, did you do it, did you not do it? And I love that from the off. So yeah, that was my final charity shop buy. Mum.
Well, you said I'd got loads more than you, but actually...
Well, you got 2 more than me. You combined 2.
I did combine 2, to be fair. This is a book I have already read.
You were very excited about this yesterday.
I was, and I'm really pleased to be able to talk about it to a wider audience, because this book was brought to my attention when a very sweet little 12-year-old student at school, we were doing a project about space, and I was working with the children I was teaching in that particular class, really struggled with their literacy. And this kid said, oh, my mum's reading a book about space. Can I bring it to show you?
Oh.
And so, and it was the hardback version. And this child brought the book into school for me to have a look at. And I read the first 2 pages and I couldn't believe what I was reading, because it is it's by the astronaut Chris Hadfield, so it's non-fiction, an astronaut's guide to life on Earth. And there's all sorts of things that are amazing about this book. The first thing that's amazing about this book is that Chris Hadfield, when he was 9 years old, he decided he was going to be an astronaut, which, okay. But he was living on a farm in the middle of nowhere in Canada. They didn't even have a space program in Canada. I mean, the odds of him ever going into space were almost non-existent, and yet he did. And he writes, I mean, the opening, I read you the first sentence yesterday, didn't I? It's I think it is the windows of a spaceship casually frame miracles, and I just think that's such a beautiful sentence. And then he goes on to describe looking at the Earth from space in the most poetic, beautiful way in the first sort of 3 or 4 paragraphs, and then the next thing you know, he's trying to do his first spacewalk, and he's sort of, you can see it's very funny because there's a round hole and his suit is square and he can't actually get out. So all that sort of, all the detailed practice that they've done and everything, and he couldn't actually, and he just, oh God, there are moments in it that are hysterically funny, but also what I loved about it was that shared experience. So I love writers who can, I will never go to space. That's
never
not
say that. We don't know what we've got planned for future birthdays.
I know I will never go to space.
Well, let's see what me and my siblings make of that.
But this is the closest. I mean, the way he describes things, it's so clever that I kind of feel like I've been. And the description of the landings as well, because he ends up going with the Russian space program, and they land on ground. They don't land on. Yeah. And the descriptions of that and them coming out of this, I just think it's genius.
And if you know anybody,
if you know anyone, if you're not that interested in space, well, I think you should read it anyway. Any human being.
It's a Louise Savage recommendation.
It's highly, highly recommended.
So, on to the final bit of news, which is forthcoming things. Well, one actually is that we've recorded our predictions for the winner, or our personal winners for the Women's Prize, from the Women's Prize shortlist, and done them in order of preference.
It's a bit controversial.
It was a little bit controversial. Yeah. So that will arrive either on the 6th of July, if that's when the finale is, or there's potentially it's moving back to September because things are changing in the UK, possibly with what we're allowed to do and stuff. So we'll, as soon as we know what date it is, it'll be the day before, and hopefully we'll be going to the party and we'll be vlogging that. So that's coming up. I need to remind you all that the next Sykes and Savage book club, which is the official book club for Independent Bookshop Week, is Shuggy Bane by Douglas Stewart. So get your mitts on that. We'll be talking about that at the end of this month. Back to what we were talking about though, is we are planning Summer Book HiBearNation.
Yeah.
Tom is taking a seasonal break because he's just having a bit of a break from social media at the moment. So hopefully he's going to be back in the autumn, which is when me and him might...
I'm going to really miss him.
Well, it's when me and him might do a little special something that we talked about where we're going to dress up as 2 Anns and go around the Tower of London.
Fabulous.
As part of Autumn Book HiBearNation, hopefully. But we thought we'd change it up a little bit, didn't we? Yeah. In terms of, normally with Book HiBearNation, we pick a title that everybody reads and then we pick several prompts that match the season, or, well, quite often in a really tenuous way, but they do match the season. And what we thought would be different this time is on Instagram, we will put up a picture. I've got to show Mum how to do this, where that you can vote for what the... or I'll just put it on mine, whichever.
No, it's fine. You show me. I like learning stuff.
And you can vote on our Instagrams which one you would like us all to read. So we'll choose, and we won't let you know which 2 we've each chosen. You'll just get the list of 4, because that gives it a little bit of mystery. And then the other thing we've done is we've come up with a prompt each, but we would like you in the comments down below to suggest any prompts that you think would be good fun to go through your own bookshelves and for us to go through our bookshelves to find books that match. But we've come up with the 2, so the comments down below. There will be 5, I think, because we've normally done 5, haven't we?
I think so.
And we maybe might come up with a bonus, I don't know, to recreate a book cover or something fun, or to do a really summary picture or whatever.
Doing that, I have
yeah,
to
that was
say.
good fun. So we need to try and find a book that we like the look of that we could do that. Something to do with summer. But Mum, you came up with a really good prompt.
Well, I wanted, because when I think of summer, I think of swimming pools. So I think a book that involves a swimming pool in some way,
You
or
can
an
have it on
Lido,
the cover.
Or it could be part of the plot or the title, or something to do with a swimming pool.
Yeah,
that's what I'm going
So that's that one. I've decided, because I always go for something that's birdie or animally or whatever. You can pick a book with an exotic animal on the cover. I think we have done birds and feathers before, so I'm going to say animal. Does that include? No, should I even be as?
You could say mammal.
I was going to say.
But then lizards and things.
Yeah, you don't want to. So not a bird, not a fish, but an animal, or an insect, or
There's a lot to go for
what
there.
Are snakes?
Reptiles.
Oh yeah, or a reptile. Because crocodiles are quite exotic.
They are.
Anyway, so there we are. There are two. But in the comments down below, let us know what other prompts you would like to both have for yourself and have for everyone else to join in, because obviously lots of people join in. Yeah. And and then we're planning on doing it. Oh, I've not got the date in front of me.
I think it was something like the 20.
I'll leave it below, but it's the
20,
it is the
20.
It's like the third full week of July. It'll be all under here, Mum.
26th of July.
No, that's too late.
That's the Monday.
I think that's too late. That's outrageous. That is too late. No, I think it's the one before that then.
Okay.
So it might be
do my maths then.
It might be the.
This is the 26th.
Oh, well, maybe it's the 19th I'm thinking of then.
Well, anyway, we'll sort this out
it'll
later.
be all below there. That was a lovely moment of showing how organised we are. I'm just rubbish with numbers.
We did discuss it.
We did, but then I forgot to write the date down. It's like when we tried to do... Yeah, and one prompt, don't involve numbers in anything, because when we had a certain amount of words in the title, me, you and Tom just couldn't do it.
I couldn't cope.
Just couldn't even... I can't count past 3, apparently.
Couldn't cope.
When it comes to words. So, yeah, but it could be something to do with an author, it could be something to do with a place, it could be something to do with whatever feels summery to you. And bearing in mind, for some people, it won't be summer where you are, but when it is summer, what kind of books appeal to you? And that's that. That's it from us.
It is.
It is.
Sadly.
Well, not like forever. And you will be back on, because also the other thing that Mum's done is she's picked 4 books off my shelves that I will be reading, not next week, but the first full week of July, because I want to try and get through some books that I was most excited about that came out before the middle of the year. Because my favourite part of the year, one of them, is on BookTube around end of June, beginning of July. Everyone does their favourite books so far, and they're some of my favourite videos to watch.
Oh, right, okay.
So there we go. There's that. All right, we've got to go and have some roast chicken. We've got to sneak a little Q&A from our Patreons first, but then we're going to be having some roast chicken, and we'll see you all soon. Bye.
Bye.
I never wave. I've done that twice with you now.
I know. It's nice to wave to people.